Chapter 10. The Orange-Haired Hero. Before I tell you about Riverside, I need to tell you about Naruto. Because Naruto saved my life. I discovered Naruto when I was 13, during one of the darkest periods. I'd shut down completely. No emotions, no hope. I was a ghost. But then at David's house, his older brother was watching anime. Japanese animation. The show was about a boy named Naruto Uzumaki, an orphan. A kid everyone in his village hated and feared. He was alone, completely alone, and he was determined to prove them wrong. "I'm going to be Hokage someday," he'd shout. "Then everyone will have to acknowledge me." I watched this loud, bright, stubborn kid refuse to give up despite being hated, despite being alone. And he smiled. He actually smiled. That's what got me. How could someone who'd been through so much still smile? "Can I watch more episodes?" I asked David. I spent that afternoon transfixed. Naruto wasn't perfect, but he never gave up, never stopped trying to connect, never let the world's rejection turn him into what they feared. He made friends. He worked harder than anyone. He protected people who'd hurt him. He chose kindness over revenge. I started watching regularly, binged episodes, memoized dialogue. There was Rock Lee, a ninja who couldn't do traditional magic but worked so hard he became one of the strongest. Hard work beats talent. I related to that. Maybe if I worked hard enough, my lack of advantages wouldn't matter. At school, classmates noticed a change. Alfred smiled today, someone said, surprised. Watching Naruto, something in me had cracked open. Just a little. I started smiling occasionally. Not at Uncle Marcus's house, never there, but at school. I started engaging more in class. Naruto taught me, you could acknowledge pain without letting it destroy you. You could be hurt and still choose kindness. You could be unwanted and still become something. I never gave in to despair, Naruto would say. And I thought, maybe I don't have to either. I know how it sounds. A teenager finding inspiration in cartoons. But I don't care. Those cartoons gave me reasons to keep going when I had none. They reminded me there was a world beyond Uncle Marcus's house. A world where I could be the hero. By the time I left for Riverside, I'd watched hundreds of episodes. I'd learned that being broken didn't mean you had to stay broken. That you could smile even when everything hurt. That you could be unwanted and still want yourself. When I arrived at Riverside, I carried Naruto with me. In my head, in my heart. Be loud about your goals. Work harder than everyone else. Don't let pain turn you cruel. I walked onto campus thinking, I'm going to be someone here. And that belief came from watching a cartoon ninja refuse to give up. So yeah, Naruto saved my life. Chapter 11. The Choice. High school selection forms arrived in January. List your top 6 school choices. Most students chose schools close to home. I chose differently. I sat with the form and a map of the region spread on the floor. I looked for schools as far from Uncle Marcus's house as possible. I found one, Riverside Secondary School. 4 hours away by bus. Far enough that I'd need to board. Perfect. I listed it as my first choice. For choices 2 through 6, I picked other distant schools. These schools are all far away. Uncle Marcus frowned when he saw my form. They have good programs, I said. Riverside has a better science program. He studied me. I kept my face neutral. You'll need to board. That's more expensive. I'll work hard to justify the expense, sir. Please let me go. Please don't force me to stay close. Fine, he said, signing the form. But I expect top grades. No complaints. No problems. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sophia saw my choices and shook her head. You really want out, don't you? Wouldn't you? Yay, but they won't let me. Results would arrive in March. 2 months of waiting. I tried not to hope. Hope was dangerous. But I couldn't help it. March arrived. Acceptance letters came. I got into Riverside Secondary School. My first choice. I held the letter, reading it 3 times to make sure it was real. I got in, I said. Riverside. September. 6 months away. I could survive 6 more months. That night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real hope. I was getting out. Not permanently. Not yet. But day to day, I'd be gone. 4 hours away. Living in a dormitory. free from the constant reminders of my place. The next few months passed in a strange state. I counted down days. 163 days until September. Then 150. Then 100. David was excited for me. You'll do great there. What about you? I got into Central Academy. Not far from here. We probably won't see each other much anymore. We sat under our mango tree one last time, both aware this was ending. You've been a good friend, David said. You too. Thank you, I said. For what? Being normal. The last day of junior high arrived. Small ceremony, certificates. Uncle Marcus attended. He clapped when Sophia's name was called, less enthusiastically when mine was. But I didn't care. I had my certificate and my acceptance letter and my countdown. 32 days until Riverside. That evening, Uncle Marcus made a speech. Alfred, you're going far away. Remember where you came from. Remember who took care of you when no one else would. The words were meant to inspire gratitude. Instead, they reminded me exactly why I was leaving. Yes, sir, I said. I won't forget. And I wouldn't. I'd remember every day in this house. Every humiliation. Not to hold grudges, but to remind myself. Never again. Never again would I let anyone make me feel worthless. Never again would I be dependent on people who resented me. Never again would I be unwanted. I'd make myself wanted. Valuable. Undeniable. Not for them. For myself. Because being unwanted by them didn't make me unwantable. It just meant they were the wrong people to want me. Somewhere out there was a life where I fit. Where I belonged. I just had to go find it. And in 32 days, I'd start looking. Chapter 12. The First Taste of Freedom. The dormitory at Riverside Secondary School smelled like disinfectants and adolescent boys. 40 of us in one long room, 20 bunk beds, metal lockers, small windows letting in light. It should have felt oppressive. Instead, it felt like paradise. I had a bed. Not a mat, an actual bed. Top bunk, lumpy mattress. But a bed. I had a locker. Small, dented, with a lock. But mine. Space that belonged to me alone. I had 40 roommates who knew nothing about me. I didn't know I'd slept on the floor. Didn't know I was the unwanted one. Just Alfred. A new student. Same as them. I could be anyone here. First time boarding, the boy below me asked. His name was Joseph. Yeah, I said. You'll get used to it. The food's terrible. Lights out is at 10 p.m. and the showers are cold. But it's not so bad. Terrible food. Cold showers. A curfew. It sounded perfect. Because none of those things involved Uncle Marcus. That first night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of anxiety. Because of relief. I lay in my bunk and listened to 40 boys breathing around me. And I felt safe. No one would burst in and demand chores. No one would compare me. No one would beat me. I was just a student. Anonymous and unremarkable. It was the best feeling in the world. The first few weeks passed in a blur of newness. We woke at 5:30 when a prefect rang a bell. 40 boys stumbling out of bed for cold showers. At 6:30, morning assembly. The whole school standing in rows while the principal gave speeches about discipline and excellence. At 7 o'clock, breakfast in the dining hall. Watery porridge or bread with margarine. Terrible, as promised. But everyone got the same portion, ate at the same time. No hierarchy. No eating last. No watching others eat while your stomach growled. It was beautiful. Classes started at 8 o'clock and ran until 2 p.m. Then lunch, followed by mandatory study time from 3 to 5 o'clock. After study time, free hours until dinner at 7 o'clock. Boys would play football, walk around, talk. I mostly stayed in the dormitory or library. Old habits, staying invisible. But slowly, I started participating. Joseph invited me to play football one afternoon. I was terrible, never having really played. But he didn't care. You'll get better, he said. I did get better. And the running, the movement felt like shedding weight. Other boys started talking to me. Normal conversation. Normal questions. A boy named Emmanuel noticed I was watching anime on my phone. You watch anime? He asked, excited. Yeah, Naruto mostly. I love Naruto. We talked for an hour about anime. It was the first time I connected with someone over something I actually enjoyed. Emmanuel introduced me to other anime fans. Suddenly I had a group. Boys who'd gathered to watch episodes together, debate characters. It was normal teenage stuff. But for me, it is revolutionary. Classes were different too. Teachers were strict but fair. They had high expectations for everyone, not just for me. Good work, Alfred, my math teacher said when I scored high on a test. Excellent essay, my English teacher wrote. Praise. Actual praise. Not comparisons. Just recognition that I'd done well. My grades at first term were solid. Not the best. There were genuinely brilliant students, but in the top quarter. You're smart, Joseph observed while we studied. Not really. You are, though. You just work at it quietly. Maybe I was smart. Or maybe I was average but worked hard. Either way, it didn't matter. What mattered was that I was allowed to be whatever I was without constant criticism. The first time I went home for a weekend visit, reality came crashing back. Midterm break. Uncle Marcus sent word that I should come back. He'd send bus fare. I didn't want to go, but I had no choice. I was still financially dependent. The 4-hour bus ride back, dread building with each mile. When I arrived, nothing had changed. Same compound, same rooms, same hierarchy. You're back, Aunt Sarah said. Not quite a welcome. I'd sleep on the floor for 2 nights. At dinner, Uncle's children ate first and well. I ate last and least. How are your grades? Uncle Marcus asked. Good, sir. I ranked 15th out of 45. 15th? That's barely the top third. You better improve. The praise I'd received from teachers evaporated under his assessment. But instead of feeling crushed, I felt nothing. Because his opinion didn't matter anymore. At Riverside, I mattered. I had a bed and a place and friends. Uncle Marcus's disapproval couldn't touch that. The 2 days crawled by. When it was time to go back to school, I was smiling. How was home? Joseph asked. Fine, but I'm glad to be back. Yeah, I get that. At least here we have friends. Friends. He'd said it so casually. At Riverside, I had friends. That first term ended with exams. I studied hard, determined to improve my ranking. When the results were posted, I'd moved up, 8th out of 45. My name was on the board. No qualifiers. No comparisons. Just my name and my rank. Nice work, Emmanuel said. I sent my results home. Uncle Marcus sent back one line. Acceptable. Maintain this standard. Acceptable. A year ago, that word would have gutted me. Now, it was just noise. Because at Riverside, I was more than acceptable. I was Alfred. I had friends. I had a bed. I had a place in the world. And for the first time since I was 8 years old, I had hope. Not desperate, childish hope of rescue, but solid, earned hope of someone building something for themselves. I was getting out. Slowly, steadily, step by step. And nothing Uncle Marcus said could take that away from me. Chapter 13, The Returns. Over the next 2 years at Riverside, a pattern developed. Term time. 3 months of freedom of being just Alfred, of friends and classes and dormitory life. Then holidays. 2 weeks of returning to Uncle Marcus's house, of remembering my place, of counting days until I could leave again. Each return got easier and harder at the same time. Easier because I cared less what Uncle Marcus thought. His opinions became background noise I'd learned to tune out. Harder because the contrast was so stark. At Riverside, I was a person. At Uncle's house, I was a burden. During my second year, I came home for Christmas to find Sophia there too. She looked different. Thinner, quieter, with dark circles under her eyes. How's your school? I asked. Fine, she said. How are you? She looked at me for a long moment. Surviving. I understood that. We were both surviving, just in different ways. Later, I heard Aunt Sarah talking to Uncle Marcus. She's getting worse. I don't know what to do with her. She's rebellious, disrespectful. She's in pain, Marcus. Anyone can see that. Pain is not an excuse for bad behavior. I thought about that. Was pain an excuse? I'd been in pain too. I'd chosen to shut down instead of acting out. Was my way better? Or just different? Maybe there was no right way to handle pain when you were young and had no control. Maybe we were all just doing our best with terrible options. The next morning, I found Sophia in the kitchen. Want to talk? I asked. About what? Anything. Nothing. She smiled, small and sad. You've changed. You're calmer, more sure of yourself. Like you know something the rest of us don't. I just know that this isn't forever. Uncle's house. Being treated like this. It ends eventually. When? When we make it end. When we're old enough. We're independent enough. When we don't need them anymore. That feels like a long time away. Yeah, but it's coming. She nodded slowly. Do you ever hear from your parents? No. You? My mom calls sometimes, but she can't take me back. She's barely surviving herself. What about your dad? Dead. Years ago. I hadn't known that. We were both orphans of a sort. Just different kinds. We'll get out, I said. Both of us. You sound so sure. Because I am. My grades continued improving. By the end of second year, I was consistently in the top 5 of my class. Uncle Marcus's response, good. Don't let it drop. No praise. No acknowledgement of improvement. Just the expectation of continued performance. I didn't care. I knew I was doing well. My teachers knew it. My friends knew it. Uncle Marcus's validation was no longer necessary. Grace had grown meaner over the years. When I go to high school, I'll be better than you were, she told me. Probably, I said. You're not even going to argue. Why would I? Do well. Be successful. That's good. She looked frustrated, like she'd been gearing up for a fight and I denied her the satisfaction. I'd brought books home this time, borrowed from Riverside's library. Escapism in print form. Always reading. Aunt Sarah commented disapprovingly. You should be helping with chores. I've finished my chores. Then find more to do. But I didn't. I stayed in my corner reading. I was done making myself available for their convenience. I had one more year at Riverside. One more year until final exams and university, if I could get a scholarship. University was the next goal, the next escape route. I've been researching programs, requirements, and scholarship opportunities. Computer science appealed to me. Something technical, practical, and marketable. Something that could lead to financial independence, to never having to rely on anyone again. Chapter 14, Mr. Adebayo. The third year at Riverside began with changes. The school introduced a new program, Information Technology. Only 15 students will be selected based on grades and interest. I applied immediately. When the selection list was posted, my name was there. 10th out of 15 chosen. The program meant extra classes, access to the computer lab, training in basic programming and hardware. It was perfect. Exactly what I needed for my university plans. That's where I met Mr. Adebayo. He was the head of department for sciences, and he'd be teaching our IT classes. Younger than other teachers, more energetic, genuinely excited about teaching. He noticed students, really noticed them. Alfred, he said after our first IT class, you picked up that lesson quickly. Thank you, sir. Have you worked with computers before? A little, sir. Just basic stuff. You have an aptitude for it. Keep developing that. Over the following weeks, Mr. Adebayo continued to notice me. He'd ask questions about my understanding, challenge me with harder problems, lend me books from his personal library. This one covers advanced concepts, he'd say, handing me a thick textbook. See if you can work through chapter 3. I'd take the book, work through the chapter, come back with questions. He'd answer patiently, thoroughly, treating my questions as valuable rather than annoying. Other teachers noticed. Alfred is Mr. Adebayo's student, they'd say, sometimes with amusement, sometimes with respect. Some classmates started calling me Mr. Adebayo's son because I spent so much time in the computer lab. The nickname should have embarrassed me. Instead, it felt like an honor. Because Mr. Adebayo treated me the way a father should treat his son, with attention, with patience, with genuine interest in my development. He never knew that, of course. Never knew he was the first adult male who'd shown me consistent kindness without resentment. But I knew, and it mattered. By the end of third year, I'd settled into a rhythm. Wake up, Classes. Study. IT lab. Anime with Emmanuel and friends. Football with Joseph sometimes. Library. Sleep. My grades that year were the best I'd ever achieved. I'd cracked the top 3 in my class, trading places with 2 other students while a girl named Patricia maintained first place. You're going to beat her eventually, Emmanuel said. Maybe. She's really smart. So are you. You just work differently. He was right. Patricia had natural intelligence. Concepts clicked for her immediately. I had to work for it. Read twice, practice problems 3 times, ask questions until I understood. But I got there. Always, eventually, I got there. The IT program was where I really shined. Mr. Adebayo noticed immediately. You have an intuition for this. Some people can memorize code. You understand it. He started giving me extra responsibilities. Setting up equipment, troubleshooting, helping other students. Alfred, come help with this, became a common phrase. I didn't mind. It felt good to be useful, to be valued for what I knew. Mr. Adebayo lent me his personal laptop sometimes, an old model, but functional. I'd use it for projects, for practice, for downloading anime episodes. Take care of it, he'd say, handing it over. I will, sir. Thank you. He trusted me. That simple act, lending me something valuable and trusting I'd return it intact, meant more than he could have known. At home during holidays, Uncle Marcus noticed the changes. You're different, he said one evening. How so, sir? More confident. Cocky, almost. I wasn't cocky. I was just no longer afraid. I'm just focused on school, sir. Your grades are good. Better than Sophia's ever were. It was the first time he'd compared me favorably to someone else. Keep it up, he said. You might actually make something of yourself. Might. Still conditional. Still doubtful. But it was closer to praise than I'd ever gotten from him. That holiday break, something else shifted. Uncle Marcus started asking my opinion on technical things. How to fix a phone, which computer to buy. I'd answer clearly, confidently, using knowledge from IT class. And he'd listen. Actually listen. I was becoming useful. Not just a burden, but someone with valuable skills. The irony wasn't lost on me. For years, he compared me unfavorably to everyone. Now that I had knowledge he didn't, I was suddenly worth listening to. I could have been bitter. Instead, I just filed it away. People's treatment of you has more to do with them than with you. Chapter 15. The Accusation. 4th year, my final year at Riverside, began with purpose. This was it. The year that would determine my next steps. Final exams would decide university placement. I needed top grades. Not for Uncle Marcus. For practical reasons. Scholarships, program acceptance, future opportunities. Mr. Adebayo knew it too. This is your year, Alfred, he said on the first day. You have the ability. Now show it. Yes, sir. I'm here if you need help. Extra lessons, practice problems, anything. He wasn't just my teacher anymore. He was my mentor, my advocate. The first adult who'd invested in my success without expecting anything in return. First term exams came. I took first place in my class. Patricia had slipped to second, not because she'd done poorly, but because I'd done better. When results were posted, she found me. Congratulations. Thanks. You too. You earned it. You've been working incredibly hard. So have you. Yeah, but I got comfortable. You stayed hungry. Stayed hungry. That was accurate. I couldn't afford to get comfortable. Comfort was a luxury for people with safety nets. I had no net. Just forward momentum. Mr. Adebayo called me into his office after results were posted. First place. Well done. Thank you, sir. I knew you had it in you. From that first IT class, I knew. He paused. Have you thought about university? Yes, sir. Computer science. Good choice. Have you looked at scholarship programs? Some, sir. But I'm still researching. He pulled out a folder. I've compiled some information for you. Different programs, requirements, deadlines. Look through this. I took the folder, feeling my throat tighten. Sir, thank you. You're going to do well, Alfred. I have no doubt. I held first place for the rest of the year. Not without effort. Patricia pushed me hard, but I pushed harder. Then came the incident. Midway through the year, I brought Mr. Adebayo's laptop to school for a presentation. During lunch, I left it in the classroom, locked, safe. When I returned, a group of students from another department were there. "That laptop is stolen," one said, pointing at Mr. Adebayo's laptop on my desk. "What? No, it's not." "Yes, it is. That's the one that went missing from the senior class last month." My stomach dropped. "No, that's my teacher's laptop. He lent it to me." "Right. Like we believe that. Someone like you with a laptop like that. Someone like me. Poor. From nowhere. Unwanted." The assumptions were immediate. I'm not lying. Ask Mr. Adebayo. They marched me to the principal's office, carrying the laptop as evidence. The principal called Mr. Adebayo. "Sir, is this your laptop?" "Yes. I lent it to Alfred for his project. These students claim it was stolen from their class last month." Mr. Adebayo examined the laptop. "This is definitely mine. See this sticker and this scratch? I've had this laptop for 3 years." The accusers deflated. They'd been so sure someone like me couldn't legitimately have something valuable. "Apology accepted," I said when they mumbled sorry. But the damage was done. The rumor spread. Students whispered. Even some teachers looked at me differently. They'd been willing to believe I was a thief. Quick to assume, slow to verify. That evening, Uncle Marcus called. The school had notified him. What happened? Nothing. Some students mistook Mr. Adebayo's laptop for a stolen one. It was resolved. You were accused of stealing. Wrongly accused. It was cleared up immediately. Still, the accusation alone. He trailed off. I knew what he was thinking. This makes him look bad. Not, "Are you okay?" Just concern about reputation. "I'll be more careful, sir." You better be. I don't need schools calling me about you. Mr. Adebayo found me afterward. "Are you okay?" "Fine, sir." "I'm sorry that happened. Those students should have verified before accusing." "It's okay." "It's not okay. You were treated unfairly." Someone was acknowledging that, saying it wasn't right. "Thank you, sir. I'll make sure everyone knows the truth. This won't happen again." He did too. The next day, he addressed multiple classes, explaining the situation clearly. It helped, but some whispers continued. I learned another lesson. You could do everything right and still be judged, still be assumed guilty, still be treated as less than. Not because of what you'd done, because of who you were. It wasn't fair, but fairness was a luxury. What mattered was continuing, not letting false accusations derail me. So I continued, kept studying, kept working, kept proving I deserved to be there. Not to them, to myself. Chapter 16, The Laptop. About a month after the accusation, Uncle Marcus called with news. "Alfred, I've arranged for you to have a laptop," he said. I was immediately suspicious. Uncle Marcus didn't give gifts. "So, for your studies, you're doing well, and you need equipment. I found a teacher who can get us one at a good price." "A teacher? From your school?" He approached me during Parents' Day. Said he could source laptops cheaply. Warning bells rang. This sounded wrong. "Who is this teacher, sir?" "I don't remember his name. Science department, I think. Anyway, I've given him money. He'll deliver the laptop in a few weeks." "So, are you sure this is legitimate? Are you questioning me?" "No, sir. I just want to make sure. I know what I'm doing. Just wait for the laptop." He hung up. I had a bad feeling about this. Weeks passed. No laptop arrived. He says he's still sourcing it, Uncle Marcus said when I asked. More weeks. Still nothing. The teacher says there's a delay with customs. International shipment. I didn't believe it. 2 months after Uncle had given the teacher money, the man finally showed up. Mr. Adebayo called me to the main office. "Alfred, there's someone here with a laptop for you." A teacher I vaguely recognized from the science department was there, holding a laptop bag. "Alfred, right? Your uncle sent money for this." He pulled out the laptop. It was old, visibly damaged, with a crack across the screen and casing held together with glue. "This is it?" I asked. Yes, it's refurbished. Works fine. Just cosmetic damage. I knew immediately what had happened. Uncle Marcus had given this man money for a decent laptop. The man had bought the cheapest broken one he could find and pocketed the difference. How much did my uncle give you? The teacher's eyes shifted. That's between me and him. This laptop is worth maybe a quarter of what a new one costs. Where's the rest of the money? I don't like your tone, boy. And I don't like being robbed. Mr. Adebayo stepped forward. Let's all calm down. Alfred, take the laptop. We'll sort this out. The teacher left quickly. I stood there holding a broken laptop held together with glue, paid for with money Uncle Marcus probably couldn't afford, stolen by someone who'd seen an opportunity to exploit a desperate family. Mr. Adebayo examined the laptop. This is in bad shape. Yeah, your uncle paid for this. He paid for a good one. This man kept the difference. That's theft. I know, but what can we do? My uncle won't press charges. He'll just be angry that he wasted money. Mr. Adebayo looked at me with something like pity. I'm sorry, Alfred. It's fine. I'm used to things not working out. I took the broken laptop back to the dormitory. Joseph saw it and whistled. That's rough. Yeah. Does it work? I opened it. The screen flickered, half dark from a crack. The keyboard stuck, but it powered on. Barely. I used the laptop for a few weeks, squinting at the broken screen, working around the sticky keys. Then it died completely. I threw it away and went back to using Mr. Adebayo's when I needed one. Uncle Marcus never asked about the laptop. Either he forgot, or he didn't want to acknowledge the wasted money. The incident taught me something important. The system was rigged against people like me. Even when we tried to get ahead, someone would find a way to knock us back down. I couldn't trust anyone but myself. Well, myself and Mr. Adebayo. He'd proven himself, but he was the exception. Chapter 17, First Place. I held first place for the rest of the year. Not without effort. Patricia was determined to reclaim her spot. The respect from teachers became obvious. They'd often look to me to explain concepts to struggling students. Alfred, can you demonstrate this? In the IT lab, I'd become Mr. Adebayo's unofficial teaching assistant. Other students sometimes got jealous. Why does Mr. Adebayo favor you? He doesn't favor me. He helps anyone who asks. But he helps you more. I asked more questions. It was that simple. I was hungry for knowledge, and he was willing to provide it. Final exams came in May. 3 weeks of tests covering everything we'd learned over 4 years. I went in prepared. More prepared than I'd ever been for anything. The exams were hard but fair. I worked through each one methodically. When they were over, I felt empty. Not relieved. Not worried. Just empty. 4 years of work had come down to these exams. Results would come in 6 weeks. I helped Mr. Adebayo pack up the IT lab equipment for the summer. It felt symbolic. Closing one chapter, preparing for the next. Whatever happens, Mr. Adebayo said, you should be proud. You've accomplished a lot, hey. Thank you, sir, for everything. You did the work. I just provided some guidance. It was more than guidance. You saw me, when no one else did. He looked at me for a long moment. You remind me of myself at your age. Hungry, determined, a bit lost but refusing to show it. Did you make it out, sir? I did. It took time, but I did. And you will too. I hope so. I know so. Results came on a Tuesday. The entire final year class gathered in the assembly hall. The principal read out rankings, starting from the bottom. The top 10 were called last. 10th place, 9th, 8th, 7th. Patricia was called at 3rd place. She looked shocked. She'd expected 1st or 2nd. 2nd place was announced. A student named John. That meant 1st place, with the highest scores in the history of Riverside Secondary School, Alfred. The room erupted. My classmates cheered. Teachers applauded. I walked to the stage in a daze. 1st place. Highest scores in the school's history. I'd done it. Not despite Uncle Marcus. Not despite being unwanted. But because of all of it. I'd turned pain into fuel. Hardship into motivation. Rejection into determination. And I'd won. Mr. Adebayo found me afterward. I told you. I knew you could do it. Thank you, sir. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad I got to help. That evening, I called Uncle Marcus. First place, sir. Top of my class. Highest scores in the school's history. There was a pause. That's good, Alfred. Very good. Thank you, sir. I'll tell everyone. Your father will want to know. My father, who I hadn't heard from in 10 years, who'd handed me off and never looked back. Sure, sir. This is good. Very good. He said it 3 times, like he was trying to convince himself. I hung up and felt nothing. No pride that he was proud. No validation from his approval. I'd done this for me. His opinion was irrelevant. Graduation was a week later. A formal ceremony with speeches and certificate presentations. Uncle Marcus came. So did Aunt Sarah and Grace. They sat in the audience while I walked across the stage as valedictorian. Afterward, Uncle Marcus actually hugged me. Briefly, awkwardly. You've done well, he said. Very well. Thank you, sir. Your father would be proud. Would he? I doubted my father even remembered my name. Grace looked at me with something between respect and resentment. I'd surpassed her before she'd even started high school. They took a few photos, then left early to beat traffic. I didn't mind. I wanted to spend my last evening at Riverside with the people who actually mattered. My friends, my teachers, Mr. Adebayo. We gathered in the dormitory that night, sharing stories and promises to stay in touch. Where are you going? Joseph asked. University. Computer science. If the scholarships come through. They will. You're too smart to be denied. Emmanuel raised his cup of soda. To Alfred. Our valedictorian. Our friend. May your future be as bright as your brain. Everyone laughed and cheered. And for the first time in years, I felt it. Belonging. Not because of family or obligation, but because of friendship. Because of earned respect. Because of being seen and valued for who I was. Tomorrow I'd leave Riverside. In a few months, I'd start university. But tonight, surrounded by friends who'd chosen to know me, I was exactly where I belonged. Chapter 18. The University. I spent the summer after graduation in limbo. University acceptance letters were arriving. Scholarship decisions were pending. I live at Uncle Marcus's house but felt like a ghost. I'd outgrown this place. But I wasn't free yet. Uncle Marcus's treatment had shifted. The contempt was gone, replaced by something like respect. Alfred, help me with this computer problem. I'd become the family tech expert, the smart one, the one who'd succeeded. It was better than being the burden, but it still wasn't genuine. He cared about my success now because it reflected well on him, not because he cared about me. Sophia came to visit one weekend. She'd finished high school, barely, and was now working at her mother's small shop. Is this what you wanted? I asked. Does it matter what I wanted? This is what I got. You could still go to university. She laughed. With what money? My exam scores were terrible. There are programs. Alfred, stop. Not everyone gets a happy ending. Some of us just survive. In July, the news came. I'd been accepted to 3 universities, all for computer science programs. And I'd gotten a scholarship. A full scholarship covering tuition, housing, and a stipend. I read the letter 3 times to make sure it was real. I wouldn't need Uncle Marcus's money. Wouldn't owe him anything. I was free. I called Mr. Adebayo first. Sir, I got the scholarship. The full one. Alfred, that's wonderful. I knew you would. Then I told Uncle Marcus. That's good. Very good. Saves me the expense. Of course. That's what mattered to him. The money saved. Not, I'm proud of you. Not, you've worked so hard. Just, saves me the expense. Yes, sir. My 30th birthday approached. 30. 3 decades of life. 2 decades of surviving on my own. I decided to do something unusual. Host a dinner. Invite the people who mattered. Celebrate the life I'd built. I invited my university friends. My work colleagues. And after much deliberation, I invited my mother. Are you sure? Dr. Marco asked. No, but I want to try. The dinner was at a nice restaurant in Lagos. I'd rented a private room. My friends arrived first. Tunde immediately took over as host, making sure everyone felt welcome. My mother arrived last, wearing her best clothes, looking nervous. I introduced her. "This is my mother." Simple words that felt monumental. She smiled shyly, overwhelmed by meeting so many people who mattered to me. People she hadn't been there to watch me meet. But she was here now. That had to count for something. During dinner, Tunde stood up to toast. "To Alfred, smartest guy I know, best roommate I ever had, and someone who's overcome more than most of us could imagine. Here's to 30 years. Everyone raised their glasses. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Later, she pulled me aside. "You have good friends," she said. "I do. They care about you a lot." "Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you weren't alone all these years." "Me too." She hesitated. "I know I can never make up for the years I missed. But I'm so proud of the man you've become. You did that without me." It was the most honest thing she'd said to me. "Thank you," I said. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Are you happy? Really happy?" I thought about it. Was I? I had a good job. Financial security. Friends. A mother who was trying. A life I'd built from nothing. "I'm getting there," I said. "I'm not bitter anymore. Not angry all the time. Not waiting for someone to rescue me. That's progress. That's more than progress. That's healing." Maybe she was right. Maybe this was what healing looked like. Not perfect, not complete, but moving forward. "Yeah," I said. "Maybe it is." Chapter 19. The Return to Riverside. A month after my birthday, I did something I'd been avoiding. I went back to Riverside Secondary School. Not for any official reason. Just to see it again. To remember who I'd been there. The campus looked smaller than I remembered. Funny how that works. Places shrink when you grow up. I walked around, past the dormitories, the classroom blocks, the computer lab where Mr. Adebayo had changed my life. On impulse, I went to the administration building. "I'm looking for Mr. Adebayo," I told the secretary. "He used to be head of department for sciences. Does he still work here?" She checked. "Yes, he's still here. Teaching now, but he should be free after 3 o'clock." I waited. When he emerged from his classroom, I almost didn't recognize him. Older, grayer, but still with that energetic walk. "Excuse me, sir?" He turned, looked at me. His eyes widened. "Alfred." "Yes, sir." "Alfred Okoro? My goodness. What are you doing here?" "I was in the area. Wanted to visit. To say thank you." "Thank me? For what?" "For everything. For seeing me when no one else did. For believing in me. For treating me like I'm mattered." He looked genuinely touched. "You did that yourself. I just opened a few doors." "You opened more than doors, sir. You gave me hope. That changed everything. I'm just a teacher, Alfred. I do what I do for all my students." "Maybe, but you did it when I needed it most. And I wanted you to know it worked. I graduated top of my class from university. I'm a senior developer at a tech company in Lagos. I'm doing well, because you believed I could." He smiled. "I knew you would. From that first IT class, I knew you had something special." We talked for an hour. I told him about university, about my career, about the life I'd built. "Are you happy?" he asked. "I'm working on it. I'm healing. That's all any of us can do. Work on it, day by day." When I left, he hugged me. "I'm proud of you, son." Son. The word hit me hard. He called me son all those years ago too. Casually, without meaning anything by it. But it had meant everything to me. Because in some ways, Mr. Adebayo had been more of a father than my actual father ever was. He'd shown up. He'd cared. He'd invested. That was fatherhood, not biology. Presence. "Thank you, sir," I said, "for everything." Driving back to Lagos, I thought about family. I'd spent so long believing family was blood, that the people who shared my DNA were supposed to be my people. But they hadn't been. The people who'd actually been family, Mr. Adebayo, my university friends, my roommates, even Kylemer at work, those were the people who'd chosen me, who'd shown up, who'd invested. Family wasn't who you were born to. It was who chose to stay. And I'd built a good family. An unconventional one, scattered across cities and connected more by choice than by blood. Maybe that was enough. Maybe it had to be. Chapter 20. The Story. That evening, I did something I'd been putting off for months. I started writing. Not code, not documentation, but my story. Dr. Marker had suggested it. Sometimes writing it down helps. Gets it out of your head and onto paper where you can see it clearly. I opened my laptop and started typing. This is a story about a boy named Alfred. The words flowed. Everything I'd carried for so long. The good memories and the bad. The pain and the survival. The abandonment and the success. I wrote for hours, barely stopping. 20 years of story pouring out. When I finally stopped, it was past midnight. I'd written thousands of words. Not organized, not polished, just raw and honest. I read through what I'd written and felt something shift. This was my story. Mine to tell. Mine to own. Mine to make sense of. They'd abandoned me, but I hadn't abandoned myself. They'd said I was nothing, but I'd become something. They'd forgotten me, but I'd remembered who I was. I was Alfred, the unwanted kid who'd refused to stay unwanted. And that was enough. Chapter 21. Publishing. It took me 3 months to finish writing it all down. Every memory, every moment, every hurt and hope and hard-won victory. When I finished, I had over 80,000 words. A full manuscript. My life in chapters. Dr. Marker read it. This is powerful, she said. Have you thought about what you want to do with it? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe just having written it is enough. It could help people. Others who've been abandoned, unwanted, who think they can't survive. Your story proves they can. I showed it to my mother. I wrote about everything. I warned her, including the hard parts, including how I felt about you. She called me 3 days later, crying. I'm so sorry. Reading what you went through, what you felt. I'm so sorry. I know. You were so angry, so hurt, and you had every right to be. I was angry. I'm less angry now. Are you still hurt? Honest answer, sometimes. But I'm healing. I sent the manuscript to a few people. Close friends. People whose opinions I trusted. Sarah read it and called immediately. Alfred, this is incredible. And heartbreaking. You should publish this. It's too personal. That's what makes it powerful. It's real. Tunde said the same thing. So did several others. At least try, Sarah urged. Send it to some publishers. So I did, half expecting rejection. 3 publishers responded with interest. One offered a contract. We think this story could reach a lot of people, the editor said. Young adults who've experienced abandonment. Adult processing childhood trauma. Anyone who feels unwanted. Your story proves they can overcome it. Okay, I said. Let's do it. The book was published 8 months later. The Unwanted, a novel based on a true story by Alfred. Seeing it in print was surreal. My pain, my survival, my life, bound in a physical book. The response was overwhelming. Reviews came in, raw and honest. A powerful testament to resilience. Every abandoned child should read this. Messages from readers. Your story helped me understand my own. Chapter 22. The University Years. But let me go back, because I'm getting ahead of myself. The university years. Those were transformative. I arrived on campus in September with my trunk and my scholarship letter and a determination to prove I belonged there. The university was massive. Thousands of students from all over the country. Diverse, chaotic, alive. My roommates were from wealthier families, obvious from their new laptops, extensive wardrobes, casual mentions of my father's company. They weren't cruel about it, just oblivious to the privilege. There was Peter, tall and pre-med, always stressed. Michael, quiet and studying business. And Tunde, loud and studying engineering, the one who filled the room with energy. My brothers, we're going to have the best year. Tunde announced. Within an hour, he'd learned everyone's names and backgrounds. Alfred, you're the scholarship kid, right? Tunde asked. I tensed. Yeah, that's amazing. You must be crazy smart. We need you for study groups. No judgment. No assumption that scholarship meant less than. Just respect for the work it took to earn it. I relaxed. I'll help where I can. Perfect. We're going to crush this year. Classes started. Introduction to computer science. Calculus. Physics. English. The workload was intense. University was different from high school. Less hand-holding, more independence, higher expectations. I loved it. For the first time, I was learning things I'd chosen to learn. Nobody had forced me into computer science. My professors were knowledgeable, demanding, and fair. They didn't care about my background. They cared about whether I understood the material. I made friends slowly. There was Daniel from calculus, brilliant at math, struggled with programming. We'd study together, trading strengths. There was Sarah from computer science, one of only 3 women in a class of 30. Tougher than any of us, refusing to be intimidated. People always assume I'm lost when I'm in the computer lab, she said once. Like women can't code. That's stupid. Very stupid. But useful. Low expectations make it easier to exceed them. My roommates became my unexpected family. Peter was kind, generous with notes and snacks. Michael was quiet but funny once you got to know him. Tunde organized room outings, made sure we didn't become hermits. We're going to get food, Tunde would announce. Everyone. Now, bonding time. We'd pile into his car. His parents had given him a car, and go eat at some cheap restaurant. You're smiling more, Peter observed one day. Am I? Yeah. You were pretty serious when you first moved in. Now you're lighter. Lighter. Maybe I was. Maybe releasing the weight of Uncle Marcus's house made room for actual joy. The first test in computer science came. I studied hard, reviewed everything. When results came back, I'd scored 98%. Second highest in the class. Nice work, Professor Ocon said. You have an aptitude for this. Are you considering specializing? Maybe, sir. I'm still exploring options. Keep up this level of work. You're one of my strongest students. One of the strongest students. Not a disappointment. Not barely adequate. Strong. I went back to my dorm and pinned the test paper to my bulletin board. Evidence. Proof. I was good at this. I belonged here. Uncle Marcus called once a month. How are your grades? Good, sir. I scored 98% on my first computer science test. Good. Keep it up. The calls were perfunctory. Obligation, not care. No questions about whether I was happy, whether I'd made friends. Just, are you surviving? Good. Carry on. Christmas break approached. I dreaded going back to Uncle Marcus's house. Most students went home excitedly, back to families who'd missed them. I dreaded it. Going back meant going backward. You okay? Tunde asked. Yeah, just not excited about going home. Family stuff. Something like that. He nodded, understanding. If you need an out, you could come stay with us for a few days. The offer touched me. Thanks. I'll let you know. I went to Uncle Marcus's house, but I brought my laptop, my textbooks, a clear plan to spend most of my time studying. Physical presence, mental absence. Uncle Marcus barely noticed. He was focused on Grace, who'd just finished her first term with mediocre grades. You need to work harder, he told her. I am working hard. Not hard enough. Look at Alfred. He worked hard and now he has a scholarship to university. Grace glared at me like it was my fault. After 3 weeks, I returned to campus like a prisoner released. Free again. Finally. Chapter 23, Building a Career. Second semester was when I truly found my rhythm. I joined the computer science club. Students who'd gather weekly to work on projects, discuss new technologies, teach each other. It was voluntary. No grades. Just people who love coding. I thrived there. We built things together. Simple programs at first, then more complex projects. I led a team building a library management system. We spent months on it, coding late into the night. When it was finished and actually worked, the satisfaction was immense. We'd created something. From nothing. Just code and logic and persistence. This is what I want to do, I told Sarah one night. Build things. Yeah, build systems that work. That help people. That makes sense. You're good at it. I like it. That's what matters, right? Finding something you're good at and that you like. That's the dream. By the end of first year, I'd established myself as one of the top students in computer science. Not the absolute best. There were classmates with more natural talent, more resources. But I was consistent, reliable, the person professors trusted. Alfred, can you help demonstrate this concept? Alfred, would you be willing to tutor some struggling first years next semester? I said yes to everything. Building reputation, building skills, building proof that I was valuable. Because deep down, I still needed that proof. Still needed external validation that I mattered. Uncle Marcus's voice was still there, in the back of my mind. Even my kindergarten daughter works harder than you. So I worked, and worked, and worked, until professors knew my name, until classmates respected me, until I had undeniable proof that I belonged. Second year began with a surprise. I was offered a position as a teaching assistant for Introduction to Computer Science. You'll help grade assignments, run tutorial sessions, assist in the lab, Professor Ocon explained. It's paid. Not much, but something. I'll do it, I said immediately. The money was secondary. What mattered was the recognition. It meant I was good enough. More than good enough. The work was demanding. Between my own classes, the TA duties, and my part-time lab job, I was busy constantly. But busy was good. Busy meant no time to dwell on the past. Busy meant forward momentum. My roommates noticed. You never stop working, Michael observed. I'm not working. I'm studying. You're always studying, or coding, or helping someone. You need to relax. I relax. When? I've never seen you do nothing. He had a point. I didn't know how to do nothing. Stillness felt dangerous. Come out with us this weekend, Tunde insisted. No studying, no work, just fun. That Saturday, they dragged me to a local restaurant, then to a football game, then to someone's apartment for a party. I was uncomfortable at first. Parties weren't my scene. But watching my friends laugh and dance and be carefree, I realized I'd never learned how to do this. How to be young. How to have fun without purpose. How to exist just for the sake of existing. At Uncle Marcus's house, every moment had to be productive. Every action had to justify my presence. Hey, I could just be. Dance. Tunde shouted, pulling me toward the center of the room. I don't dance. Everyone dances. Just move. I moved awkwardly, self-consciously, feeling ridiculous. But then I saw everyone else looking equally ridiculous, and nobody cared. I danced. Badly, but I danced. And for those few hours, I wasn't the scholarship kid or the top student or the TA. I was just Alfred, dancing badly at a party with friends. It felt like freedom. Third year brought new challenges. I was taking advanced courses now, data structures, algorithms, database management, software engineering. The difficulty had ramped up significantly. Even I struggled sometimes. But struggle was okay. Struggle meant learning. I also started applying for internships. Tech companies would recruit on campus, looking for summer interns. I applied to 10 companies. Got interviews with 5. Received offers from 2. I accepted one at a mid-sized software company in Lagos. 3 months, paid, working on real projects. This is huge, Sarah said when I told her. Most people don't get internships until 4th year. I got lucky. You got talented. Own it. Owning it. That was still hard. Years of being told I was barely adequate made it difficult to accept that I might actually be good at something. But the evidence was mounting. Top grades. TA position. Internship offer. Maybe I was good. Maybe I was allowed to acknowledge that. The summer internship in Lagos was transformative. I lived in a shared apartment with other interns, worked 9 to 5 at the company, spent evenings exploring the city. Lagos was massive, chaotic, alive. Nothing like the smaller city where Uncle Marcus lived. It was overwhelming and exhilarating. At work, I was treated like a professional, not an intern to fetch coffee, but a junior developer contributing to actual projects. My team lead was a woman named Kyoma, brilliant and demanding. This code is sloppy, she'd say, sending my work back for revision. Fix this bug before we can merge it. Good work, hey. This is exactly what we needed. Honest feedback. No emotional manipulation. No comparing me to others. Just straight assessment of the work. I learned more in those 3 months than in a full year of classes. How to work with a team. How to write clean, maintainable code. How to meet deadlines. How to communicate technical concepts to non-technical people. How to be a professional. At the end of the internship, Kyoma pulled me aside. We'd like to offer you a position after you graduate. Full-time junior developer role. Really? Really? You're rough around the edges, but you have strong fundamentals and good work ethic. We can develop that. A job offer. Before I'd even finished my degree. Can I think about it? Of course. You have until graduation to decide. But we want you. We want you. 3 words that hit differently after a lifetime of being unwanted. 4th year, my final year, began with purpose. I had a job offer waiting. I just needed to graduate, maintain my grades, complete my final project. The end was in sight. My final project was ambitious, building a comprehensive inventory management system for small businesses. Something actually useful, something I could potentially commercialize after graduation. I worked on it obsessively, coding until 3 a.m., testing endlessly, refining the user interface. My professors were impressed. This is professional-level work, Alfred. Thank you, sir. Have you considered graduate school? Research? I hadn't. Graduate school meant more years of study, more years of being broke. I wanted to work, to earn money, to be truly independent. Not right now, sir. Maybe later. Keep it in mind. You have the aptitude. Uncle Mark is called less frequently now. Once every 2 or 3 months. How is the job? Good, sir. My first salary was deposited last week. Good. You're independent now. That's good. Independent. The word hung between us. Yes, sir. You'll send money home. There it was. The real reason for the call. Some, sir. Once I've saved enough to be stable. Your aunt and I supported you for many years. It's only fair. I'll send money, sir, but I need to establish myself first. Silence. He wasn't used to me setting boundaries. Fine, but don't forget us. Forget? How could I forget? I won't forget, sir. Graduation day arrived in June. My class, computer science class of 2025, assembled in caps and gowns. I was graduating second in my department. Top honors. Multiple awards for academic excellence and leadership. The ceremony was long, full of speeches about potential and the future. I barely heard them. I was thinking about the journey. From the river town to Uncle Marcus's house. From Riverside to university. From unwanted to undeniable. 10 years. A decade of survival and struggle and slow, steady progress. And now, this, a degree. A job. A future. Alfred Okuro, the announcer, called. I walked across the stage, accepted my diploma, shook hands with the dean. The audience applauded. My roommates cheered. And in the audience, somewhere, was Uncle Marcus. He'd come after all, though I hadn't asked him to. I didn't look for him. Didn't matter. I wasn't doing this for him. I was doing this for me. For the 8-year-old boy who'd been handed off like cargo. For the 11-year-old who'd been beaten with wire. For the 12-year-old who'd stopped crying. For the 15-year-old who'd discovered Naruto and remembered how to hope. For all the versions of me that had survived to make this moment possible. I'd done it. After the ceremony, Uncle Marcus found me. Congratulations, he said. Thank you, sir. You've done well. Very well. Thank you, sir. Awkward pause. He seemed like he wanted to say more but didn't know how. Your father would be proud, he finally said. My father, who'd given me away and never looked back. Maybe, I said non-committally. We're proud. You've made something of yourself. We? Who was we? Not Aunt Sarah, who'd never shown me warmth. Not Grace, who'd resented me. Thank you, sir. He handed me an envelope. A small gift. For your new life. I opened it. Money. Not a lot, but more than he'd ever given me voluntarily. Thank you, sir. This is generous. He nodded, uncomfortable. You're starting in Lagos next month. Yes, sir. Far from home. Home. He'd called it home, but it had never been my home. Just a place I'd survived. Yes, sir. Well, good luck. You'll do well. He left quickly, and I was grateful. We had nothing more to say to each other. I was moving to Lagos. He was staying in his city. Our paths had diverged. That was fine. Good, even. I needed distance. Needed to build a life that wasn't shadowed by the past. Chapter 24, Lagos. The next month passed in a blur of preparation. I found an apartment in Lagos, small, affordable, mine. My first real home. I packed my belongings. Still just one trunk. Though now it included a laptop I'd bought myself, a degree I'd earned, certificates and awards proving my worth. My roommates threw me a goodbye party. You're going to crush it in Lagos, Tunde said, hugging me. Thanks for everything, I told them. You guys made university actually good. You're the best roommate we could have asked for, Peter said. Second best, Michael corrected. I was the best. We all laughed. These people had been my family for 4 years. Real family. The kind that chose you and stuck around. We'll stay in touch, I promised. You better, Sarah said. I want updates on the Lagos tech scene. I left campus on a Saturday morning, trunk in the back of a bus, heading to Lagos. 4 hours on the road, watching the landscape change, thinking about everything that had brought me here. I was 21 years old. I had a university degree. I had a job starting Monday. I had an apartment waiting. I had friends who cared about me. I had skills people valued. I had a future, and I'd built it myself, with help from Mr. Adebayo, from professors, from friends. But fundamentally, I'd built it. No one had given it to me. No one had handed me opportunities because they loved me. I'd worked for every single thing I had, and that made it mine. Truly, completely mine. The bus arrived in Lagos. I got off, collected my trunk, took a taxi to my new apartment. It was small. Just a bed, a desk, a kitchenette, a bathroom. But it was mine. I set down my trunk and looked around my empty apartment. And I felt it. Peace. For the first time in 13 years, I felt peace. No one could tell me I didn't belong here. No one could compare me to anyone else. No one could take this away. I was unwanted once. But I'd wanted myself enough to survive, to grow, to become. And that was enough. Chapter 25. The Call. The first few months in Lagos were adjustment. Working full-time was different from being a student. The structure was rigid, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, expectations and deadlines that didn't care about your personal life. But I liked it. The clarity was comforting. Do good work, get paid. Simple. My apartment gradually became less bare. I bought a couch from a second-hand store, a bookshelf, kitchen supplies, small things that made it feel like home. Home. My home. The word still felt strange. At work, I was the youngest on my team. Most developers were in their late 20s or 30s, experienced, confident. They treated me well, not as a child, but as a junior colleague who needed training. Kyoma, my team lead, was direct but fair. This needs improvement, she'd say, reviewing my code. I'd improve it. Good work here, she'd say when something was done well. The praise felt earned. The criticism felt constructive. It was professional respect, not love, not family, but something solid and reliable. Uncle Marcus called about a month after I'd started working. How is the job? Good, sir. I'm learning a lot. And they are paying you? Yes, sir. My first salary was deposited last week. Good. You're independent now. Independent. The word hung between us. Yes, sir. You'll send money home. There it was. Some, sir. Once I've saved enough to be stable. Your aunt and I supported you for many years. It's only fair. I'll send money, sir. But I need to establish myself first. Silence. He wasn't used to me setting boundaries. Fine. But don't forget us. I won't forget, sir. We hung up, and I felt the familiar weight. Even in Lagos, even independent, he could still make me feel small. But the weight was lighter now, because I could choose how much to carry. I sent money to Uncle Marcus's house that first Christmas. Not a lot, but enough to fulfill the obligation. He called to acknowledge receipt. Thank you. This helps. You're welcome, sir. Grace is in university now. She needs support too. Grace, his actual daughter, his responsibility. I'll help when I can, sir. She's your family. Was she? We'd never been close. She'd learned early to look down on me. But blood was blood, supposedly. I'll help when I can, I repeated. Over the following months, the calls became less frequent. Once every few months. Always the same topics. Money, whether I was still working, whether I'd been promoted yet. Never. Are you happy? Have you made friends? Are you okay? Just, are you financially stable enough to help us? I kept the calls short. Polite but distant. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'll send something next month, sir. The minimum necessary to maintain the connection without letting it consume me. Chapter 26. The Silence. What about my parents? I'd stopped wondering years ago, but occasionally, in quiet moments, the question surfaced. Where was my mother? Was she alive? Did she ever think about the son she'd let go? Where was my father? Did he even remember my name? I tried to find my mother once, right after graduation. Hired someone to search for her in the town where we'd lived. He came back empty-handed. She moved years ago. No one knows where. My sisters, also gone, scattered to wherever women go when they grow up and leave small towns. My brothers, Ben and Raven, I'd asked Uncle Marcus about them once. I don't know where they are. Your father's family is complicated. People move around. Dead ends everywhere. I could have tried harder, hired better investigators, spent more money and time. But what would be the point? If they'd wanted to find me, they could have. I'd been in the same city, at the same university, eventually at the same company for years. Findable, reachable, but no one reached. No calls, no letters, no messages through Uncle Marcus. 13 years of silence. At some point, silence becomes an answer. They'd moved on, built lives that didn't include me, and I had to be okay with that. I was okay with it. Mostly, but sometimes, late at night in my small apartment, I'd think about what I'd lost. Not just parents, but the idea of parents. The hope that someone out there loved me unconditionally, wanted me, thought about me. I'd lost my sisters, people who'd be my first family, my first experience of being cared for. I'd lost Raven, who'd given me a blue dress and made me feel seen. I'd lost the version of myself who'd played by the river, innocent and happy. I'd lost so much time. Years spent surviving instead of living. The grief would hit sometimes, unexpected and overwhelming. Not dramatic, not crying, just a heavy, hollow feeling in my chest. The feeling of being fundamentally alone. I had friends now. Good friends. My roommates from university kept in touch. My colleagues at work were friendly. I was building a social circle in Lagos. But none of them were family. None of them had the depth of connection that comes from shared history, shared blood, shared everything. I was alone in a way that no amount of friendship could fix. And I'd had to make peace with that.